Good evening, snipers. I hope you all are having an amazing weekend. Let's start off with our weekend call where we talk about our weekly seasonality. We'll talk about our earnings calendar, economic calendar, and then we'll talk about the top three trade ideas for this week. With that, after that, I'll talk about SPY, QQQ, and IWM, and wrap up with the charts that I've shared in our game plan. In our charts channel. So, without further ado, let's quickly get into it. Sorry. I was just looking at some houses. All right. Anyway, firstly, let's go into our Discord here, looking at the weekly seasonality. Again, I talk about this every week. Uh, Weekly seasonality is a mere statistics as to what has happened in the past in the last 90 since 1990, and it's not a statistic. It is not a prediction of what's going to happen in the future. Although any number under 40 over 60 is something that I kind of take it a little bit more seriously. But this week, how it kind of looks like is on Monday. It's a coin flip, right? Like Nasdaq 48%, S&P 43% of the time being green, and Dow a little bit weaker. So tech is something that can show strength this week. So keep an eye out for that to begin the week here. Next one on Tuesday, very, very strong seasonality with 67% of the time Nasdaq being green. So Monday weakness is a sign for buying the dip, I guess, into Tuesday at least. So that keep an eye out for that. Wednesday again, Nasdaq gets a lot weaker than S&P and Dow. Um, and being up only 38% of the time, just be a little bit wary and careful about that, and see that you scale out of your positions if you're swinging something on the weekly time frame. So keep an eye out for that on Wednesday. Thursday again, 48% each up every single time, so it's an iffy kind of situation, but the week closes off very, 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 very green, which basically also indicates that there is going to be buying that will happen by the end of this month, end of this quarter, and people and retail traders, I'm not sure, but the hedge funds and all the bigger funds will definitely try to add into the end of this quarter, is what this seasonality is telling you here. So keep an eye out for that on seasonality front. Nasdaq definitely a little bit more a little bit more stronger, I would say, other than Wednesday. But overall, it kind of looks like a very strong uptrend kind of week when you look at the numbers on the Nasdaq and S&P, when there's that seasonality trend of 67% of the time being green. So keep an eye out for that on the weekly time frame, and we will play the charts as and how they evolve on a day-to-day basis. Next one is the earnings calendar. We are looking at um, let's see, first one I was looking at was Lulu. Lulu has a lot of put selling for the 300 puts, so keep an eye out for that on Lulu. If it dips to 300, probably a buy the dip scenario on Lulu. But I would probably think about a spread, a calendar spread, or a call spread into its earnings, because of how bullish the flow kind of looks. 300 put selling is quite close to where the price is on Lulu too. So keep an eye out for that on Lulu, and we can probably play that into its earnings if we have a good week Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. Next one is all right. Um, Come on, come on. Okay, there you go. All right. Next one is the economic calendar here. Quite a bit of big. A lot of people talking this week mostly. But the first and foremost, the one that I'm looking for is the PCE that comes out on Friday. Any kind of downtick, we are looking at Fed cutting in May. So all that will increase, and if the Fed cuts in May, we are looking at markets rebounding in April, going into May, and then we'll have to figure out what's happening there. But core PCE is one of the biggest indicator this week for us for the market to move. So keep an eye out for that. That comes out pre-market on Friday. The other one is the GDP number that comes out on Thursday. Hasn't had much of an effect recently in the recent past, but any kind of quick drop off because of tariffs or because of the consumer sentiment that went low last week that we have seen, that would kind of bring in some fears, but then that fear is also going to help with the Fed rate cut in May as well. So it's a mixed bag when you're talking about GDP. So keep an eye out for that number, which comes out on pre-market on Thursday. But I'm not quite interested in a big move that might happen because of the GDP number that comes out. That's another one that I'm looking at. Other than that, the PMI, which comes out 15 minutes after open tomorrow, that's something that you can look out for as well. Not a huge impact, but there will be some movement in S&P and Nasdaq. So keep an eye out for that. Other than that, I don't see much per se, but also kind of remember of Trump's tariffs also go out April 2nd. That's the retaliatory tariffs that he has announced. But people have been talking about Trump making much clearer decisions onto what goods that he wants to retaliate against, what countries that he wants to retaliate against, and the market worries kind of gets faded away once those are announced, because I think they have in they the way that he talks is like he introduces a lot of fear in the market where everybody is like, oh my god, there's so much volatility, there's so much uncertainty, I'm getting out. And then once he coerces on the idea, and then the idea isn't that bad, he as he portrays to for it to look like, and then the market is all rainbows and sunshines after that. And there will be quite a bit of move, I would say, and majority of the people miss it. So just understand that be aware of it, and you can play the market based of how it kind of evolves. But just understand that when he actually does the retaliatory tariffs, it won't be really bearish per se, is what I kind of think. So that's something that I can think about here. So keep an eye out for that also on the news front per se. I know he just comes out randomly through the day, and there's tweets that will be flying around and all that's happening. So um just be a little bit aware of what's happening, and don't try to get onto the market with all that uncertainty in there. But size down still. I still believe sizing down is the best way. All my bets will be of the medium size, like I've said last week. Mid-size bets, we'll have more winners than losers, and we can cover out our losers very, very fast with our winners also, if we do have some losers. So keep them mid-sized, like any kind of downturn or uptake in the market, because of which goes against our positions that we are in. You can cut it off, or you can let it go and also cover that loss with another position, is how I'm kind of thinking. So all mid-sized bets this week, so keep an eye out for that. And those two macro events this week are very important, which is the PCE, which comes out pre-market on Friday, and GDP that comes out pre-market on Thursday. So those are the two important ones that you want to look out for. Next one, let's go into talking about the top three trade ideas for the week. I know most of you want to go over that first before I get into SPY, QQ, and IWM. So the first one that I'll be looking out for is, I mean, third on the list is PLTR. Where's PLTR? I don't even watch it. um, all right. So PLT. Oh, actually, I watch it. Anyway, PLTR. I'm looking at 92 calls or 95 calls here. Once this 92 level breaks, we are looking at 100 retest again here on PLTR. 95 calls above 192 is something that I'm looking for on PLTR. So keep an eye out for this level here. 95 calls for 328 expiry. I don't know where they'll open tomorrow, but that is something that I'll have on my watch list, and I will post it out on our game plan channel as well, so that you have track of that. But that's the third best trade idea I have for this week. So keep an eye out for that on PLTR. Next one is second on the list is Amazon. Amazon with an inside day on Friday. Nice strength on the chart. And this is a very clean trend line. And the reason why I have this on the second top trade idea for the week is it made a lower low, like on this was a lower low here on Amazon. Obviously it did find support at 190, but then it did make lower low. The second reason why I have it, I don't have it as a top trade idea for the week, even though I see the volume, is if you see, it did not even recapture the 9 EMA. It rejected that. It's not a clean reject. I would say it's not a clean reject, but it did not recapture that 9 EMA here on the daily as well. So that's partly why I kind of did not give this the top trade idea for this week. But the chart looks extremely good. I did not force anything on the chart. Very clean. Once we have a peekaboo kind of setup here tomorrow where we break above 197-ish, 196.80, 197-ish, and close above, we are looking at 202 to 203, which is the 20 EMA retest, or the 204 level that we have here on the chart. I mean, yeah, I mean, technically you can probably put it at around 203, so that's where the 20 EMA is also. So 200 call for 328 expiry is something that you can be looking out for Amazon here to play to the upside. So keep an eye out for that on Amazon. The top trade idea for this week is TSM. Again, we did not have a confirmation here. Very clean chart. Again, the reason why I gave TSM better prospects over Amazon here, with the same and similar kind of trend line here, is that TSM recaptured the 9 EMA. So you can see that here recaptured the 9 EMA, recaptured the the level there, and I'm looking for a peekaboo kind of setup here, somewhere around 178-ish. Once that is recaptured, 180 call for 328 expiry is something that you can look out for with a price target of 185. So these are my top 3 trade ideas for the week. I hope we hit one of them, and or you can, some of you are swing traders, some of you are prepping for the week, on have a full-time job and prepping for the week today. So I will be posting these out in the game plan channel as well. But these are your top 3 trade ideas that you want to look out for this week. So that's mostly what I have here on on the top 3 trade ideas for the week. Next, let's also talk about SPY, QQQ, and IWM, and before we talk about the other charts that I've shared. Here, I know some of you asked me, like, is this a valid bear gap that is still open? I don't think so. If you go into the SPX chart, you'll have a better idea. The reason for that gap that is open there is basically because of the ex-dividend that we had on Friday, and that was the reason why we have that. Sometimes this OPEX can create such funny things there on the chart, which I don't, which I usually negate myself manually, and that's the reason why. You know. I mean, that's where you need some manual intervention also when you're drawing your charts, etc. We talked about this bull gap that was opened a couple of weeks back. This bull gap has been defended. It's not filled yet, and this is a sign of strength. And something that I would say, which is, we are not in a very bearish trend, is last week there's a little bit of a trend shift. I've shared this with you intraday on Friday, but on a intraday basis, right? So interday basis, let's say, right, like, let me pull out my pencil here. So this was the low that we put out a couple of weeks back, and then this was the high that we had the week before, and then this was the low, and then we had a higher high, we had an equal low kind of scenario, right? So when it comes to from 2 weeks back, this was the low, but last week or the week before, these are the lows, right? Like, these are your lows. So we definitely have a low, and then we have a higher low, right? This is a higher low, this is a higher low, right? So we do have a little bit of trend shift. I'm not saying we have a higher high, we have a higher low. When do we have a higher high? When we break this thing here, right? Like, because this is a high, this is let's say this is a low, then we have another high, then we fell off for a low, then we have a high, another low, a high, a low, a high, another low, another high, another low, another high, another low, another high here, another low here. But then, this can be a lower high scenario here. Oh, God, come on. Okay. This can be a lower high scenario here, right? These are all lower highs here, right? All these are lower highs. But finally, we have a trend shift where we have a lower high, this was a lower low again, right? But then we have a higher low. When you just take this kind of time frame, only this time frame, still in a short term time frame, we are still in a higher low kind of a lower high kind of scenario. But then when you're looking at only this time frame, we have a higher high, right? We have a higher low. So there is a little bit of a trend shift that's happening in the micro term time frame. And once we break this trend line, I think we have a better squeeze or a better movement in the market to fill out both these bear gaps here. So the keep an eye out for that upper trend line this week. Earlier in the week, probably Tuesday or so. Once that breaks, you want to be long. You want to you want to be swinging long as well. Something that you want to also look for is on the daily time frame. I would say we are like actually on the 9 EMA. I don't see. Okay, the 9 EMA wasn't recaptured, but yeah, it's not really looking for that. Okay. I thought the 9 EMA was working out really well. But right now, as things stand, like we are definitely in that crossover scenario again, like a similar cross like this. Once we see a cross, we have a little bit of a pop on a day to day, on more of a like intraday level. So once we see that pop, we will see that upper trend line breaking. Once that upper trend line breaks, we are off to fill out this bear gap here. So that's something that I'm looking for this week. I do believe we will break this trend line this week, and a lot of tech stocks are what will move the market here this week as well. So keep an eye out for that. So something else that I was asked about, why is there not a very clear trend? Why do you think there's not a very clear trend? um, this is exactly what happened to me in 2018, where where this trade war kind of scenario, when Powell and Trump were also fighting over interest rates and things like that. I was seeing the exact same trend where this was a nice trend. I would not deny that, right? Like after that, you had a down day followed by a up day, down day followed by like another big up day, down day followed by another big up day, right? Like like this was another good downside swing, but then it was followed by a couple of very strong rallies as well, right? So the bearish sentiment, I would say, it was very controlled, right? Like there's so much news that was going on. It's very hard to just say, okay, I'm going to buy puts and chill. It's very hard. I mean, in hindsight, yes, you will say, oh, you know what, this was all where you could have played puts. But honestly speaking, I wouldn't be as confident I would be when I'm playing calls, when certain scenarios kind of pop up. And like we closed off here, and then we opened exactly there, and then we popped. The reason for the pop was a simple tweet, and then next day we open even higher, then just sold off, right? And then we open somewhere up here, fill the gap, thinking that we are going higher, but then we close even lower, and next day we gap up. Actually, next day we open flat, and then we go up again, right? So this is all like it's very hard to play a controlled price action towards the downside with elevated volatility, is what I'm trying to say. But it's all hindsight, right? Like I'm just kind of trying to tell you why I was not trying to snipe out things onto the downside as much as I do to the upside. But um I will be looking out for that trend line break, this trend line here. Once that trend line gives me a peekaboo kind of setup, I will be definitely going long again, probably picking up some swings to play to the upside here on SPY. So keep an eye out for this trend line. It's a very valid trend line, and it looks pretty good as well for the fill of this bear gap to happen next week. I mean, coming week. So keep an eye out for that on SPY. Next one is QQQ. All right, QQQ. Yeah, I mean 480 did get recaptured. So we are looking at 486 and 492 this week. There's the 20 EMA resistance at 489, 490. So we're looking at 490 to 492 this week here on QQQ. Once that bear gap gets filled, obviously, I am expecting a little bit of a pullback there, like, like something like that, and then come down and then shoot right back up. Does this all happen in 1 week? I don't know, but overall, I do see that there's a potential for 486 and 490 this week, earlier in the week at least, and after that we'll have to reassess how much of a pullback we would get on QQQ to play to the upside again. So keep an eye out for this bear gap. Once this bear gap is filled, will act as resistance intraday. If we are like flagging around here, somewhere around here, and then not completely filling the bear gap, and after PCE we create an island bottom. Let's say we create an island bottom, we are going back to all-time highs. So let's see if something like that happens, and if something like that happens, I'm going to pick up some very big, good number of swings on my Roth account as well. Right now, Roth is hit by about $55,000 loss on Google, um, which is fine. I mean, that account is like at 280, 270 ish. I thought Google would bring me home to 300, but just had that loss, which is fine. Like we started that 2.5 years back with like 12.5 something. So it is what it is. That's the first big loss, I would say, that I'm enduring on that account. Kind of feels bad, but it is what it is. We are at that position where we can take that risk as well. So irrespective, that's something that the if we do get an island bottom, I'm very interested in picking up some swings again. Until then, we'll just have to see, reassess on a day-to-day basis, figure out how this volatility is going to take the market up and down, and play the market accordingly. So keep an eye out for that on QQQ. Next one is IWM. Definitely something that we played last week. The on I think we played it on Thursday, right? And then we are. I think it was Thursday. I think it was Thursday. But yeah, we played it on Thursday, and then 205 is the next retest here. Once 205 breaks, we are looking at 209 here on IWM. Nothing really stands out for me on IWM. Probably the 205 break is something that I'm looking out for. Can we say this is an head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders, or something like that? Yeah, I mean, can we draw a trend line and see on a very short term time frame? Yeah, probably. This is a valid trend line too, and the shooting star had a confirmation candle. So hmm, we'll have to see. We'll have to figure out. Let's see if this trend line kind of breaks above, then we can probably think about some calls here on IWM. But otherwise, uh, it's a great trading instrument, but like right now it's not too great to invest in IWM per se over QQQ. So that's something that I would say here on IWM. All right. Next, we talk about all the stocks that I shared in our charts channel. Let me go into our charts channel and pull it out to another screen so I have the list. All right, first one is Amazon. We already talked about it. Next one is Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you need this upper trend line to break. It's looking good. I mean, it's looking like it's basing to break out higher. So 92. 92. That's essentially what you need. Once that breaks, we are going up back to 100K. I'm actually looking for this trend line break. We'll see how this trend line kind of acts. If we are going towards that trend line and then flagging around that 86 to 89 zone, I will be picking up some longer dated calls on MSTR or something and play to the upside. So that's something that I'm looking out for on Bitcoin. It definitely looks like it's trying to break higher. We are definitely looking for that curl on the 9 and 20 as well. So if you see the curl happens and then you have a big pop, and then when the curl downs, it always acts as resistance, and we have a little bit of a drop. And now we are trying to curl right back up here with the 9 and 29 going above the 20 again. Looking good. I would say it's looking good. And once we break, I think 89 is the first target here on Bitcoin. And once that breaks, we're going. Once this upper trend line breaks, the measured move is all time high. So there's nothing that you can do there. But 86,500 breaks, we are looking at 92 here on Bitcoin. So keep an eye out for that. Next one is coin. This one's looking good as well. I think let's go to the weekly time frame. I just want to see how it looks on the weekly. Oh, inside day on weekly kind of broke down on the weekly. Um, yeah, it broke down on the weekly. So if it recaptures this trend line this week, let's say you have a candle like that, and like you close here on the weekly, we are definitely going to this upper trend line. So um you need a confirmation around that. Until you get that, I think it's a broken down chart and it looks bad. On the daily though, for you to play intraday 193.50 breaks, you can probably play some 200 calls towards 205 as your target. So keep an eye out for that on coin. Next one is what do I have? Google. All right, Google. This is a short-term trade too. Again, 165 kind of breaks. You can probably play some 167.50 calls. I'm not a great fan of Google this year. Has eaten my money, like Baba did a few years back. Not a great fan to play this stock, but that's the level that you want to look out for. 164.50 breaks. You are looking for 169. So 167.50 calls is something that you can look out for on Google. Next one is Goldman Sachs, 165, 166 break. You are looking for 580 calls here with 585 as your target to the upside. Banks are looking much better last week than rest of the tech. XLF also showed a lot of strength, almost up 1.5%, I believe, on the sector front. But you're looking for 580 calls here, 580 calls or 585 calls, depending on the on which day we are looking at this break on Goldman Sachs, and can probably play to the upside here on Goldman Sachs. So keep an eye out for that on Goldman Sachs. Next one is Hood. This is something that many folks have asked me for levels. You're looking at 45.50. Once that 45.50 is broken, 49 and 53 are your next targets. I'm seeing a lot of sport betting folk getting onto Robinhood just for their prediction market, and it is big. Like once you can probably play some 45 calls earlier in the week as a Bitcoin play as well. Hood, Coin, MSTR. These are your three stocks that you can probably play for Bitcoin as a play. Other ones obviously are PLTR and Tesla as well, which also hold Bitcoin, and XYZ. I think I posted about XYZ flow later in the later on Friday, I believe. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and look in the game plan channel, but that's another one that you can look out for as well. So check out in the game plan channel. I think I posted a trade idea on XYZ, so keep an eye out for that as well. But Hood 45 call is something that you can look out for here on a weekly time frame basis as well. On a longer term picture, I'm looking at Hood going back over 50. Um, Good stock, I would say, to own. Can what's the IPO price on Hood? I think it's a little yeah. Yeah, we can probably see 85s on Hood again. I'm not even kidding about that. But does that happen this week? I don't know. But we can probably see about 80s on Hood. People are definitely going to target that 100 level on Hood and Uber. These are your two stocks that you can look out for for a bigger move per se in about like 2 or 3 years span, I believe. I'm trying to be a little bit more conservative, but these are your growth stocks that you can look out for as well. I definitely like what Hood is doing on Robinhood is doing on their brokerage. At the brokerage level, being very revolutionizing the whole trading and prediction market kind of thing. So keep an eye out for that on Hood, and probably a good ad also around the 38 to 35 zone. So I think I posted this a while back also. That 38 is a good zone to add Hood at. Obviously, it did dip to 35.50. But all this is a good buy zone, is how I kind of see it. So keep an eye out for that on hood. Next one is oh, actually, I don't know why I clicked LLY, but I didn't share the chart. 850 breaks, 880 is your call target, and 880 can be played here on LLY once 850 is broken. I'm not a huge fan yet. I don't see any flows. I don't see any buy volume at all. So with a doji candle on Friday, you'll probably have to wait it out and see where things go. But there's this upper trend line that broke, and we dipped very hard after. So yeah, not a great fan. We'll have to figure out as and how this kind of evolves. I'm not looking for any trade there on LLY. Next one is Meta. Meta. Yeah, Meta 610 calls or 620 calls is something that you can look out for on a trade whenever that 600 breaks. I don't know when that breaks, right? So it's an inside day, obviously, on Friday. Once that 600 breaks, you can probably play some 615 or 620 calls here on Meta. Um, uh, Definitely like had that lot of strength on Thursday, which kind of faded off. But next time the 600 level breaks, you have to be long Meta. There will be quite a bit of move towards that 622 to 630 level there. 615, 630, these are your two targets to the upside once that 600 level breaks here on Meta. Microsoft, obviously, some of you asked me how was your Microsoft trade not sold off on Robinhood. So something that Robinhood does is if you do not have enough liquidity in the account, my account was 700,000 on 701,000 or something like that on Robinhood, and I only had 10 contracts, right? So 10 into 10, 10 contracts with into 100, which is basically 1,000 shares, right? So 1,000 shares, you are looking at a stock which is around 400. You should have $400,000 to cover it, right? So that is the reason why they did not sell my contracts. So if you're playing in a Robinhood, they do sell off your contract 30 minutes before the close. Mine did not sell off because of that reason. I don't have to explain myself, but then I just wanted to let you know how Robinhood does it. So that's that. uh, Amazing trade there. Like my $250 were like 1,300 or something. Donated a little bit, and then I spent a little bit for my weekend as well. Overall, was a great trade. It was a great surprise for me. But looking great as well. 400 calls is something that you can look out for here on Microsoft. Once this inside day, actually it's not an inside day. You need 392.50, 392.50 or something like that breaks. You can probably play some 400 calls earlier in the week, 395 calls later in the week. So keep an eye out for that on Microsoft as well. Next one is where is this thing? All right, Tesla, last but not the least. I'll probably talk about Tesla and then we'll wrap it up. Tesla, last week it did not create a lower low, which was very interesting with all that nonsense news that's going on with the stock. Um, I think there's a chance that we will see 260 plus this week on Tesla. Keep an eye out for a 255 or 260 call here on Tesla. There's been quite a bit of bullish flow that I've been seeing on Tesla as well going into this week. So 260 call is something that you can look out for here on Tesla to play to the upside and make some money here this week here on Tesla. But otherwise, that's all I have for this week. If you have any other questions, concerns, or anything uh, that you want to ask me, and post it out in the lounge, I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible. But then I also, before I leave my office, I'll also post out the trade ideas, top 3 trade ideas for the week on our Game Plan channel, and I'll wrap up for today. I will see you guys again with pre-market notes tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot. Have a good rest of your weekend.